Page 56. Unit 6. Get ready. Words. A. Listen and point to the words. Listen again and say the words.
Arrive. Ask. Check. Enter. Pour. Crowded. Clerk. Visit. Sick. Arrive. Ask. Check. Enter. Pour. Crowded. Clerk. Visit. Sick.
Page 58. Read. Tell me a story, Grandpa.
Tell me a story, Grandpa.
Okay, says Grandpa. I'll tell you a story about my grandfather, Carlo. In 1910, Carlo was 10 years old. He and his family lived in Italy. They were very poor, so they came to the United States for a better life. This was the first time that Carlo traveled to a place far away.
Really? I'm 10 too,
Says Henry.
and Mom, Dad, and I visit a different country every summer.
Yes, Henry. Things are different now, says Grandpa.
How did they travel here?
Asks Henry. They traveled by ship, says Grandpa. It wasn't an easy trip because the ship was crowded and dirty. There wasn't much food, and many people got sick. Carlo was sick too. They arrived at Ellis Island in New York after 10 days.
Wow, that's slow,
Says Henry.
Now it only takes about 9 hours in an airplane.
I know, says Grandpa. It's very different today.
What happened at Ellis Island?
Asks Henry. Doctors checked everyone, and Carlo was very scared, says Grandpa.
Why was he scared, Grandpa? Doctors help people,
Says Henry. Yes, but people who weren't healthy couldn't enter New York, says Grandpa. The clerks asked them many questions.
What questions, Grandpa?
Asks Henry. Where are you from? Are you healthy or are you sick? Says Grandpa. Luckily, Carlo was feeling better, so they let him in. And that's why we live here today and not in Italy,
That was a cool story, Grandpa,
says Henry.
I have an idea. Let's take a trip to Italy.
That's a good idea, Henry, says Grandpa. Let's go next summer.
Awesome, Grandpa. But let's take an airplane, not a ship.
Page 61. Grammar in use. D. Listen and sing along. What did you do yesterday?
What did you do yesterday? Did you visit May?
Yes, I did.
Did you walk there in the rain? Did you travel there by train? What did you do yesterday? What did you do yesterday? Did you travel far?
No, I didn't.
Did you climb up a tree? Did you watch us on TV? What did you do yesterday?
Simple past regular verbs. Questions.
What did you do yesterday? We visited the museum. Did you go by train? Yes, we did.
To ask a question about the past using regular verbs, we use did, the main verb, and a question word such as where, what, or how. This is the same for all subjects. Where did he live? He lived in Los Angeles. What did she do? She cooked a pie. How did you travel? I traveled by ship. Where did they walk to? They walked to the park. What did they play? They played ball. How did you travel? We traveled by plane. To answer a question about the past using regular verbs, we use the main verb and D for verbs that end in E, such as live, and ED for verbs that end in a consonant, such as cook. This is the same for all subjects. Where did he live? He lived in Los Angeles. What did she do? She cooked a pie. How did you travel? I traveled by ship. Where did they walk to? They walked to the park. What did they play? They played ball. How did you travel? We traveled by plane. To ask a yes or no question about the past using regular verbs, we use did before the subject and the main verb after the subject. To answer a yes-no question, we use did if the answer is yes, or didn't if the answer is no. Did you walk? Yes, I did.
Page 62. Communicate. Words. A. Listen and point to the words. Listen again and say the words.
Couch, chair, lamp, clock, bathtub, sink, couch, chair, lamp, clock, bathtub, sink.
Page 62. Communicate. Listening. C. Listen. Why were some things small a long time ago? 1.
Students, this is a great museum. We can see things that people used a long time ago here.
Look at this. How do you turn it on?
You don't turn it on. There's a candle inside it.
A candle? How did they read at night a long time ago?
Most people didn't read at night, Emily.
2.
Did people sit in that and wash, Miss King? It's very small.
Yes, they did. A very, very long time ago.
Where did the water come from?
They poured water in it from a big container, but first they heated the water.
Good.
3.
Look at that. It's really small. And it's so plain. Did students sit on them all day?
Yes, they did. Children were smaller a long time ago.
4.
Look at those numbers. They're very fancy.
Yes, they used those numbers a long, long time ago.
Hey, I know what time it is. I can't read the numbers, but they're in the same place as the ones we have now.
5.
Everything in here is small. But look at that. It's big.
Yes, it is. People used it to wash their hands and face, but there was no hot water then.
I don't want to wash with cold water. I'm glad we have hot water now.
6.
Look at that. It's small. Today, they're big. Yes, I fall asleep on ours sometimes.
Long ago, 2 people could sit on that, and it wasn't long enough to sleep on.
D. Listen again and match. Page 63. Communicate. Speaking. E. Imagine you traveled between 2 cities in your country a long time ago. Practice with your partner. Replace the words in bold.
Where did you travel?
I traveled to Washington.
How did you travel there?
I traveled by train from New York. This is our play about life long ago. Communication was slow. Letters from my cousin in New York take 2 months to get here. My cousin is coming from London. People traveled to places far away by ship. It was slow and difficult.
It's crowded and dirty.
When people arrived, clerks asked questions and doctors checked people.
Do you have family here? Yes, a cousin.
People used a horse and cart to travel to places nearby. Hello, cousin from London.
Hello, I'm so tired.
Today, it's easy and fast to communicate and travel. We have internet, email,
And airplanes. Phew!
Hello there. How are you today? It's time for today's big question. How are things different now from long ago? Things today are different from long ago in lots of ways. Communication is very different. Long ago, people used letters to communicate. At first, these letters were carried by horse and cart, but later they were carried by trains. Sometimes letters took months to get to their destination. Today, communication is very different. It's really fast and really easy. We can use email, text messages, or phone calls to communicate quickly with friends and family all over the world. Travel is also very different. In the old days, people walked from place to place or traveled by horse and cart. Travel could be long and difficult a long time ago. People didn't often travel for long distances, and when they did, they usually went by train. Travel is fast and easy now. We can travel across the world in a day, and there are lots of different types of transportation now. We can travel in cars, buses, or airplanes. The difference is amazing. Look at this map. Long ago, it took 2 days to travel from New York to Boston. This journey now takes 30 minutes. Another big difference is how we get our news. I always read the news on my phone. I can read it anywhere, at any time, and I can get news from all over the world. But in the past, people talked to each other to get news. Then, around 400 years ago, people printed the first newspapers. Today, we get our news in lots of different ways. We still read newspapers and magazines, but we can also watch the news on TV or find it on the internet. Communication, news, and travel were all very different a long time ago. Of course, lots of other things were different too. Our towns, cities, and neighborhoods were very different. The places we lived in, the things we used, even the food we ate was different. What about you? Can you think of more differences?